Jasher Maccabees here. Today's topic is Herodotus, Egypt. Herodotus, Egypt. Herodotus was a Greek historian, so I'm going to refer to him in a second. But a couple of questions. Is London in Germany or Britain? It's so easy to talk about. It's so easy for somebody to say, oh, yeah, well, the map says bad. But is Egypt in the Middle East or is Egypt in Africa, according to books right now? Because that might be a new topic, some new research that we might find. But who named the Middle East? The British Empire. But let's go back to Herodotus. This Greek historian, he had a book. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, he had a book called The Historians 2. And in chapter 104, he actually described the Egyptians as being black and woolly haired. These are his words. Again, his book, The Historians 2, in chapter 104. Okay, but let's jump on Jasher. Let's jump on in. Okay, let's go to Jasher 3:31. 3:31. And it reads, and all the sons of men assembled and came to Shinnuk, and Shinnuk is Enoch, came to Shinnuk that day, and all the kings of the earth with their princes and counselors remained with him that day. And Shinnuk then taught the sons of men wisdom and knowledge, and gave them divine instruction, and bade them serve Yahuah and walk in his ways all the days of their lives. And he continued to make peace amongst the men. Okay, I got a question. First question. Did Jacob change his name to Israel? Did Jacob, I'm sorry, he didn't change his name. Yahuah changed his name from Jacob to Israel. Okay, in Genesis 35:10, and this is coming from the Sefer. Okay, and Elohim said to him, your name is Yaakov. Your name shall not be called anymore Yaakov, but Yezreel shall be your name. And he called his name Yazrael. Sorry about the pronunciation. I'm trying to get there. Okay, another question. Did Jacob have a son named Joseph who was sold into slavery in Egypt, where later his brothers didn't recognize him as he was amongst the Egyptians? Let's go to Jasher 42. Jasher 42, 16 through 44. Wow, got a little mountain here. Let's see. Verse 16. And the Midiani were more afraid of Simeon, and they approached the sons of Yaakov with terror and fright, and with pathetic words, saying, surely you have said that the young man is your servant, and that he rebelled against you, and therefore you placed him in the pit. What then will you do with a servant who rebels against his Adonai? Now therefore sell him to us, and we will give you all that you require for him. And Yahuah was pleased to do this in order that the sons of Yaakov should not slay their brother. And the Midiani saw that Joseph was of a comely appearance and well favored, they desired him in their hearts and were urgent to purchase him from his brethren. And the sons of Yaakov hearkened to the Midianite. Let's see. Sorry, lost my place. Sorry, hearken to. And they sold their brother Joseph to them for 20 pieces of silver. 20 pieces of silver? And Reuben, their brother, was not with them. And Midianite, took Joseph, and continued their journey to Gilead. Verse 20. They were going along the road, and the Midianite repented of what they had done in having purchased the young man. And one said to the other, "What is this thing that we have done in taking this youth from the Ephraim, who is of comely appearance and well favored? Perhaps this youth is stolen from the land of Ephraim. And why then have we done this thing?" So they're asking questions like, okay, and if he should be sought for and found in our hands, we shall die through him. Now surely hardy and powerful men have sold him to us, the strength of one of whom you saw this day. Perhaps they stole him from his land with their might and with their powerful arm, and have therefore sold him to us for the small value which we gave to them. Verse 23. And while they were thus discoursing together, they looked, and behold, the company of I can't pronounce that word, sorry, which was coming at first, and which the sons of Yaakov saw, and advancing toward the Midianite, and the Midianite said to each other, "Come, let us sell this youth to the company of Yishmaelim." I'm sorry, I'm trying. Who was coming toward us, and we will take for him the little that we gave for him, and we will be delivered from this evil. And they did so, and they reached the Yishmaelim, and the Midianite sold Joseph to the Yishmaelim for 20 pieces of silver, which they had given for him to his brethren. And the Midianite went on their road to Gilead, and Yishmaelim took Joseph, and they let him ride upon one of the camels, and they were leading him to Mitzrayim. And Joseph heard that Yishmaelim were proceeding to Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. And Joseph lamented and wept at this thing, that he was to be so far removed from the land of Canaan, from his father. And he wept bitterly while he was riding upon the camel. And one of their men observed him and made him go down from the camel and walk on foot. And notwithstanding this, Joseph continued to cry and weep. And he said, "Oh, my father, my father." And one of Yishmaelim rose up and smote Joseph upon the cheek. And he still continued to weep. And Joseph was fatigued in the road and was unable to proceed on account of the bitterness of his soul. And they all smote him and afflicted him in the road, and they terrified him in order that he might cease from weeping. And Yahuah saw the ambition of Joseph and his trouble, and Yahuah brought down upon those men darkness and confusion, and the hand of everyone that smote him became withered. Wow. The hand of everybody that slapped him. Verse 29, and they said to each other, what is this thing that Elohim has done to us on the road, or in the road? And they knew not that this befell them on account of Joseph. And the men proceeded on the road, and they passed along the road to Ephrath, where Rachel was buried. And Joseph reached his mother's grave, and Joseph hastened and ran to his mother's grave and fell upon the grave and wept. And Joseph cried upon his mother's grave, and he said, O mother, my mother, O you who did give me birth, awake now. So Joseph is crying on his mother's grave. And rise and see your son, how he has been sold for a slave, and no one to pity him. Verse 32, O rise and see your son, weep with me on account of my troubles, and see the heart of my brethren. Arouse, my mother, arouse, awake from your sleep for me, and direct your battles against my brethren. Oh, how have they stripped me of my coat, and sold me already twice for a slave, and separated me from my father, and there is no one to pity me. Arouse and lay your cause against them before Elohim, and see whom Elohim will justify in the judgment, and whom he will condemn. Verse 35. Rise, O my mother, rise. Awake from your sleep, and see my father, how his soul is with me this day, and comfort him, and ease his heart. Okay, verse 36. And Joseph continued to speak these words, and Joseph cried aloud and wept bitterly upon his mother's grave, and he ceased speaking from bitterness of heart. He became still as a stone upon the grave. So Joseph is crying out, and he's speaking to his mother's grave. Verse 37, and Joseph heard, and verse 37, and Joseph heard a voice speaking to him from beneath the ground, which answered him with bitterness of heart, and with a voice of weeping and praying in these words, my son, my son. Wow. Wow. So he's hearing voices. He's hearing his mother's voice. Okay, Joseph, I have heard the voice of your weeping and the voice of your lamentation. I have seen your tears. I know your troubles, my son, and it grieves me for your sake. And adamant grief is added to my grief. Verse 39. Now therefore, my son, Joseph, my son, hope to Yahuah and wait for him, and do not fear, for Yahuah is with you. He will deliver you from your trouble. Verse 40, rise, my son, go down to Mitzrayim, which is Egypt, with your Adoniam, and do not fear, for Yahuah is with you, my son. And she continued to speak like these words to Joseph, and she was still. Verse 41, and Joseph heard this, And he wondered greatly at this, and he continued to weep. And after this, one of Yishmaelim observed him crying and weeping upon the grave, and his anger was kindled against him. And he drove him from there, and he smote him and cursed him. Okay, verse 42. And Joseph said to the men, may I find grace in your sight to take me back to my father's house? And I will give you abundance of riches. Verse 43. And they answered him, saying, are you not a slave? And where is your father? And if you had a father, you would not already twice have been sold for a slave for so value. And their anger was still roused against him. And they continued to smite him and to chastise him. And Joseph wept bitterly. Verse 44, this will be my last one. And Yahuah saw Joseph's affliction, and Yahuah again smote these men and chastened them. And Yahuah caused darkness to envelop them upon the earth. And the lightning flashed, and the thunder roared, and the earth shook. And the voice of the thunder of the mighty wind. And the men were terrified and knew not where they should go. This happened when Joseph was being sold to Egypt. Okay, I got to give you a song. Okay, first song, or one song by Hezekiah. Yah Visitation. I hope all of that, hey, read for yourself. There's a lot. We'll have part 2 coming up next.